that, I'm going to turn it over to our CK debaters, Eudora Chi and Rebecca Park, who are both from the class of 23. Thank you, ladies.
Hello, everyone. I am Eudora Chi, and I am a member of the CK Debate Club. Tonight, we feel so fortunate to have 4 panelists here who represent a variety of undergraduate path and career choices. Gautam Hans, Daynor, Butler, Carman, George Tepe, and Caroline Shinkle. Welcome and thank you. Tonight, we are going to hear from each one of them and learn a little more about their backgrounds and journey through CK to law school and beyond. Feel free to drop any questions during the meeting in chat, and we will try and get your answer from our amazing alumni. Then, as Susan mentioned, we are going to do 4 5-minute breakout sessions where you will have a chance to ask questions and talk to each one of these interesting alumni. After the breakout sessions, we will all come back to the main room, and if there is time, the panel would take a few more questions. And I will now let Rebecca make the first introduction. And really quickly, just before we actually start introducing our alumni, due to some technical issues, if you join the meeting with Susan's link, Zoom automatically displays you as Susan Posts. So it'd be great if you could rename yourself so we clear any confusion.
Okay, now first, Mr. Hans is a CK alum from the class of 2002 and was the editor-in-chief of the Crane Clarion. After Cranbrook, he got his BA in English at Columbia and wrote for the Columbia Spectator. He got his JD and master's degree in information at U of M. He worked as a policy counsel and director at the Center of Democracy and Technology in San Francisco, working on a range of policy issues including speech, privacy, and surveillance. Today, he is an assistant clinical professor of law at Vanderbilt Law School and directs a legal clinic focused on First Amendment issues and protections. Fun fact, he attended law school with Mr. Rosen. Welcome, Mr. Hans.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. I think fondly of my years at Cranbrook, and because my parents are still there, I often go and wander around, so see like someone scowling, looking like me, it probably is me. Law professors talk too much and for too long, so 5 minutes will probably be hard for me to talk about how I ended up in this weird position in my life. But the first thing I'll say is that I'm always happy to talk to students, and I think Susan, it's fine to circulate my email. I'm happy to talk to anyone, or you can find my Vanderbilt faculty page pretty easily through the magic of Google. So I will say that I think that Cranbrook and its effect on me and how I became a lawyer and now a law professor is less in terms of subject and more in terms of outlook. I was lucky to have a number of teachers, many more of whom are here tonight than I would have anticipated, who pushed me to be very critical in my thinking and to work harder than I might have preferred to, because it's very easy to rest at what you're good at and not push yourself. I also think it's funny that 3 of my 5 English teachers are here, because I did end up majoring in English literature, although since they've all left teaching English, perhaps on the reason that they have moved on to different things from that. But I think that majoring in English was really important to me as an attorney and now as a teacher. And I would actually say that law is this field that you can be successful in no matter what you study as an undergrad. I have friends who did everything from, the hard sciences to the arts to, more traditional law paths like political science. I think for people who are interested in why the world works or more often doesn't work, law is a very natural fit, because most of the problems that we are dealing with are the result of law. And therefore, a lot of the problems that we're dealing with will have to be fixed by a law. And I would also say that if you have an appetite for change, it is to some degree for social change, to improving the lives of people, to affecting a more perfect union, to thinking about how to eliminate discrimination and sexism and all the other problems that we face in this country. It is a useful venue. But law is also fundamentally conservative. And I don't mean that politically. I mean little c conservative. we as lawyers are always looking backwards to precedent. We're trained that way, unfortunately. And the activists and people who work really effectively to affect change in their communities and on the ground sometimes clash with lawyers because we're trained to sort of view the world through a lens that is not always progressive. And that's like a struggle, I think, for everyone that they may see if they're a lawyer who wants to affect social change and work in the public interest. But I think it's important to keep in mind. I think the last thing that I'll maybe say before I turn it over to our next panelist is that it's a profession that I think gets more credit than it deserves. I think, well, I teach legal ethics, which is part of the reason I'm pretty cynical about lawyers, because American society treats the law as though it's some sort of venerable, honorable thing. And I don't think it necessarily is. I think the values of the profession are contested. And I would also say that law fundamentally is a service industry. Like I tell my students that we're basically just, similar to like your dry cleaner or your car mechanic. We just have more years in school and more debt. And we are fundamentally like trying to help our clients do certain things or not do certain things. And it may have values, but we're not always great about upholding those values. And so I think even if you don't pursue law or you are critical of law, I think it's important to not necessarily believe the hype. So I think I'm probably not doing a great job of selling you about being a lawyer. I think it's a fun, very flexible profession, but I think it also requires both patience and to some degree a level of time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hans. I know there will be a lot of interest in hearing more about your First Amendment clinic and being a law professor in the breakouts.
Next, Miss Carman is an alum of the CK class of 1995. At CK, she captained at the track and field team, played basketball, and was a member of 4A. She attended DePaul University, graduating with a degree in psychology. She went on to Georgetown Law, where she was an officer in the Black Law Students Association and a delegate in the Student Bar Association. She gained experience in business litigation, holding complex commercial and bankruptcy litigation in federal and state courts, representing financial institutions and other corporate entities. She then took on the role of in-house counsel, first for BMO Financial Group, and now with Alliance Data, where she advises on web and mobile design, regulatory compliance of operations and procedures, and more. Her two sons, aged 5 and 8, are attending school remotely this year. So this year, she also finds time to referee flights and make lunch while she's practicing law. Welcome, Ms. Carman.
Thank you. And of course, I would follow Professor Hans with those profound words. I don't know if I'll have that type of perspective to share. And I will also say we all should have a little humility, but I think it's a very noble profession that I'm very proud to be a part of. I think lawyers get a bad rep, and I'm a banking lawyer, so that's probably like the epitome of evil for some people. But I think there are lots of ways that we can affect change, even when you work for big corporations and you have the opportunity to, the law is fluid, right? It's always changing. It's open to interpretation. So we all bring our different perspectives, and you have the opportunity to put your own perspective, not spin, not fake facts, but your own perspective on the law. And I enjoy that. So at Cranbrook, I think the classes that most piqued my interest, and I did not know I wanted to be a lawyer until later in college. So I wasn't really thinking that way, but I do remember that I had a government or civics class, and we used to get weekly Newsweek magazines, like paper copy Newsweek magazines every week. And I got really interested in government and politics in that way. And I thought that I would pursue that route, not really thinking about law until much later in college. So that course really impacted me, and English as well. I think law, no matter what your background, and I have tons of friends as well that are, some are engineers, some are in math, some are science, some are English majors, all types of backgrounds in law. There is a ton of writing, no matter what you end up doing. So I think you need to enjoy writing. You need to enjoy reading. You need to be intellectually curious. And I know most of you are, you're at a great school. But those, I think, reading, those classic liberal arts skills to me are core to law school anyway. I mean, you may do different things when you get out. You may have a technical brain, but you have 3 years where you're going to do tons of reading and writing. And even when you practice, whether you're in academia, I'm in-house now, I was in private practice, whether you're in government, you're always writing, whether it's persuasive for court. I often need to take really complicated things and drill them down for business people who have never gone to law school, or someone, some of our investigators are ex-police officers. So sometimes it's finding different ways to communicate with people. And finally, psychology. I ended up majoring in psychology, and I think I took an intro to psychology course at Cranbrook, though I'm pretty sure I did. It was a while ago. I'm pretty sure I had an intro to psych class there, and I've always been interested in human behavior and why we do the things that we do, why we act the way that we act. And I think that really helped me. It helps me in my career today. And I think it helped me with getting through law school and helped me navigate being at Cranbrook, which was a different environment for me than I was a day student coming from Detroit every day. So that learning to navigate the environment there at Cranbrook, learning to be confident and interact with my peers and make friends with people that were different than me. All of that helped me at Cranbrook and has helped me tremendously in my career, where I'm often feeling like I'm in that same scenario, although the world has changed very much. It's given me the confidence. And I think I got a lot of that at Cranbrook, and being challenged to speak up. And sometimes you sit in class and kind of be quiet and want to shrink away, and being challenged to speak up and be confident and find your voice. A lot of that happened for me at Cranbrook. I think there was a lot that I could have done better, and we could get into that. But certainly so many great resources there and so many wonderful teachers. And I don't need to kiss up to them now, but take advantage of those great teachers that you have there and try to build relationships with them as well.
Thank you, Ms. Carman. I know there will be some questions in the breakouts about what is it like to be in-house counsel for a company. Also, I'm sure there are a lot of questions about Georgetown law.
Okay, next, Mr. Tepe is a member of CK class of 2010. He was a section editor of the Crane Clarion, played in the jazz band, and a president of Gold Key. He was a corporate associate at Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz in New York City. Mr. Tepe's corporate practice includes mergers and acquisitions, corporate governance, and capital market matters. His clients have included Penn National Gaming in its investment in Barstool Sports and in common stock end of offerings, Mondelez International in its acquisitions of Who Kitchen, Give and Go and Tate's Bake Shop, HB in its successful defense of a hostile takeover attempt by Xerox, Apollo Global Management in its $6 billion takeover private of Tech Data, and Global Payments in its $21.5 billion merger of Equals with TSYS. Mr. Tepe is a graduate of Columbia Law School and Amherst College, and is a member of the Cranbrook Board of Governors. Welcome, Mr. Tepe.
Hey, everyone. So super exciting to see my classmates and former teachers and, and my mom. Hi, Mom. Thank you all for having me. I guess one thing I just wanted to start to kind of like level the playing field and make sure we're all like talking with the same language. Because when I was in high school, I had no idea like what a merger and acquisition meant. Right. I actually didn't even really know what a corporate lawyer was. I had like some uncles that were corporate lawyers, but I had no idea. So I think everyone, there's generally kind of two types of lawyers, right? There's like litigation lawyers, which we know like law and order, suing people for money or putting people in jail or defending people from going to jail. And then there's kind of transactional lawyers or corporate lawyers. And generally what that just means is lawyers that draft and negotiate contracts. So I never go to court. If, I only deal with court if I probably, or one of my colleagues screwed something up and people are suing about it. So that's just generally like what a corporate lawyer does. So, when I was in high school, I didn't think, I wasn't planning on being a lawyer. So I kind of got here through, I was an econ major. and working very, very similar to Caroline, at the Federal Reserve, interning there in DC and in Chicago. So that's kind of how I realized in college that I didn't really like doing all the math, and I liked the policy stuff more. So that's what drove me to law school ultimately. I guess kind of on Cranbrook, I would say a few things which may be a little different. One, I think it's really helpful to learn what you aren't really good at when you're at Cranbrook. So I'm glad Mr. Connor's here, because I learned in Bio-H, especially the taxonomy section, that I was really bad at memorizing stuff. And so I knew that I needed to go find a profession that you didn't have to memorize a bunch of things. Thankfully, for example, in law school, pretty much everything's open book. So that's very helpful. So it's great, even if, even in your failures at Cranbrook or setbacks at Cranbrook, like that one helps you to persevere. It makes you push through it. I was much better prepared for the bar exam because I had to figure out a way to memorize stuff in Bio-H. And so I used that later. You can't get around it. But I would say, even in your setbacks at Cranbrook, you're in such a supportive environment. So don't get too discouraged. You're around really smart people. You're going to still be around really smart people. So just kind of persevere through, and resilience and perseverance is one of the biggest skills I think you can bring forward for the rest of your professional life and personal life too. The other thing I would kind of say is that the relationships that you make with your friends, don't take that for granted. That is very, very important in life. I have utmost, I know that you will do your work that you have to do and get your homework done, but don't do that in such a manner that you push aside building those relationships. Because some of my closest friends are from Cranbrook, more so than even my college friends or my law school friends. It's my Cranbrook friends who I still text silly things to throughout the day, every day. And that helps you both personally, most importantly, but also professionally, because they have ended up in all different professions. And I know that there will be a day where I have a client that is a Cranbrook friend or a Cranbrook colleague. And so make sure to take the time for yourself to do that too, because you just are around an incredible community. And that also goes with the teachers. I mean, the teachers there, they have chosen and dedicated their life to Cranbrook of all places. They could have gone to many other places, and they just are such a wealth of knowledge and support for you. So it's hard to not get tied up in the day-to-days of they're giving me grades and stuff, but I wish I would have done even a better job of staying connected with my old teachers. So please, take advantage of them. But I'm happy to talk about that in the breakout room. I don't want to take up much more time. I know we all want to do the breakout. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. T. I know there is a lot of curiosity about mergers and acquisitions, and that you will be getting lots of questions about some of the deals you've worked on.
Lastly, graduating from CK in 2011, Ms. Shinkle was a member of the Cum Laude Society and managing editor of the Crane Cleary in her senior year. She was also captain of the golf team and played varsity tennis, and was named the 2011 Michigan High School Athletic Association Scholar Athlete of the Year. She was captain of the forensics team. Ms. Shinkle earned a BS in economics with minors in management and French from MIT in 2015. And upon graduation, spent 2 years with the Federal Reserve Board of Governors in Washington, D.C. as a research assistant. Ms. Shinkle graduated from Harvard Law School in 2020 and is currently a first-year associate at Cravath, Swain, and Moore in its corporate department. Welcome, Ms. Shinkle.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And first of all, I just want to say how much fun it is to be back at Cranbrook. And I was just thinking, I can't believe that it'll be almost my 10-year reunion, or it will be my 10-year reunion this spring. I can't believe how fast time flies. But it feels like just yesterday I was graduating. So it's such an honor to be back. And it's also such an honor to see so many familiar faces on the call. I see Mr. Shaw and Mr. Connor and Mr. Watson and Mrs. Young and Mrs. Stevenson. The list goes on and on. So it's such an honor to be back with all of you. And this is so much fun. In terms of my career trajectory following Cranbrook, I went to MIT and studied economics, as Rebecca mentioned. I don't really look at my pursuit of the law after studying economics to really be a shift. I think of it more as a natural progression in terms of what I was interested in and what I wanted to do in the future. When I studied economics at MIT, I got very interested in central banking and sort of understanding how countries create these frameworks around the world for building prosperity and promoting robust economic growth. So I translated that into internships, both at home and abroad, and then worked at the Federal Reserve for 2 years in its division of supervision and regulation after graduation. But what I found in each of those experiences and at the Federal Reserve was the importance of a legal understanding and a legal background. And what I saw was that those with the legal background were really poised to help to implement the policies that we were helping to develop and put into practice those policies. And so to me, that was a really powerful realization that I wanted to go to law school. So I did. In terms of my experiences at Cranbrook that helped put me on that path, I have to say, and maybe this is sort of a unique perspective, I really think that all of the classes I took at Cranbrook were important and foundational for the rest of my career. Some of you may be familiar with this, but at MIT, you are forced to take hard science classes. So I took biology at Cranbrook with Mr. Connor, and I ended up taking chemistry and physics, and of course, math and statistics. And all of those courses were very important for my academic career at MIT, especially statistics with Ms. Chun, who was wonderful here at Cranbrook, very related to the study of economics. And that was one of my favorite classes here at Cranbrook. So I think that set me up very well for my economics studies in college. In terms of my activities and extracurriculars, the Crane Clarion was, of course, really foundational to what I've done after Cranbrook. I think the skills that you learn in terms of communication are important for law school and also for life. I think the skills you learn in learning to interview people effectively and understanding their points of view and perspective, that's something that stays with you for law school and also in other endeavors in life. I think when you're working with clients in the study of the law and in the pursuit of law, being able to understand their needs and where they're coming from, I think a lot of that comes back to what I learned working with Mr. Watson on the Crane Clarion. And then again, to the point about the importance of communication, both written and verbal. I did a lot of work with the forensics team here at Cranbrook, very near and dear to my heart. And I think those skills are vastly important for everything that you pursue in life, and especially in law school, whether you become a litigator, as George mentioned, that's very important for courtroom experiences, but also in the corporate world, when you're working with clients, you have to be able to communicate effectively with them during negotiations. In terms of drafting agreements, I can't stress enough the importance of communication. And then lastly, I will mention the golf team here at Cranbrook, because I have certainly continued to play golf after Cranbrook, and I ran the Harvard Law School Golf Association, which was a lot of fun. I really tried to introduce other students who hadn't been exposed to the game of golf and introduce them to the game because, as you probably know, it's of course a lifelong skill that'll stay with you forever, but it's also a really important business skill. And I think it sets you apart, and it's a differentiating factor if it's something that you can do. So I've certainly continued to do that. And in terms of, I'm probably down to my last minute, but in terms of advice for Cranbrook students, I think you should take the classes that interest you, of course, and do the activities that interest you. I feel as though at Cranbrook, I was very fortunate to identify early on in my high school career the activities that I was really passionate about. So I was able to commit to those activities early on and stick with it for my 4 years. And I think if you can do that too, it'll be a really rewarding experience.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shinkle. There are many students who are thinking about law school, and you'll be getting a lot of questions about that process in the breakouts. Ms. Post, are you ready to start putting our students and alumni in breakouts?
Madison, we've got everybody set up, right? Okay.
Yep, everyone's set up. The one thing that there's been an update with Zoom, so you're automatically going to go into a breakout room. You won't have to wait around and click a button to join. I also ask if you don't have your camera on and you're there and you're able to turn on your camera, it's easier to interact with the panelists as you go into breakout rooms. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to put you in rooms. Again, the time is going to be 20 minutes, but every 5 minutes we will be switching the panelists. So we'll be sending out a mass message at every 5-minute mark, a little bit before, just to let you guys know that you have maybe 30 seconds left. And so I'll be seeing you in 20 minutes, but everybody else will be moving along. So, all right. I'm going to click go.
I will let's start with Gautam and Caroline. And, we all want to know what, there's probably a question or two that you did get in the breakout that maybe you have to think about a little bit more, or something that will stay with you. And so, Gautam, if you could share with us maybe one or two questions that you got in the breakout that you did get, we'd love to hear what that was.
Yeah, I think one thing I didn't emphasize, but I think has come out from all the panelists talking about their backgrounds, is that this is the rare profession that I think you can really find your way into no matter what led you there. And I think I mentioned this before, but there are a lot of different types of lawyers, and there are a lot of different ways to become a lawyer. And it can even be something that you don't realize that you're interested in until, in undergrad or even working, because I worked for a couple of years between college and law school, which I think was really invaluable for me as a law student and as a lawyer. And so I think, and now I have students some of whom come straight from undergrad, but many of whom have taken a few years off, and sometimes even as much as 10 years off or 15. And I think that's a strength, both for me and with my students, and also for the profession, because I think it makes it more equitable. I think it allows for people from different backgrounds to come in. And, I think it's probably hard from the high school perspective to think about maybe in 10 years I'll change my mind and go to law school. But the last thing I'll say maybe is that many lawyers, and I will include myself in this, would be like, I never thought I would end up doing what I'm doing now, but I love it. I can't imagine. I feel like it worked out really well for me. And I think that's a strength. And I think that also means that, let your life take you where it does, and, figure out what you want in the moment, and in the short and medium term. And that doesn't, even if it seems like it's far away from law, it may take you back there. This is sounding very new agey, so maybe I'll stop there.
It makes a lot of sense to me, Gautam. I appreciate that. Caroline, was there anything that you would like to share with the group that came from the breakout sessions?
Yes, I think I'll sort of add to what was just said. I got a question about, what advice do you have for somebody in high school at CK who doesn't really know what they want to study or what they want to do next? And what I said was, take a diverse slate of classes. And I think what's already been said is very true, that regardless of the discipline that you come from, I think effective lawyers really come from every field nowadays. It's a very diverse profession in terms of academic background. While at one point in time, history and philosophy and English really made up the bulk of law school classes, I think that's really changing. I'm a testament to that. I studied economics. I think George mentioned he studied economics as well. And I think even very technical backgrounds and hard science backgrounds, math backgrounds, set you apart as a lawyer. And they really allow you to provide a different kind of expertise and perspective to clients that you otherwise wouldn't be able to provide. So I think you should take what interests you, take a diverse range of classes, figure out what you like, what your passion is, and then pursue that passion and go for it. And if at the end of that sort of exploration, you realize that you want to go to law school, kind of like what happened to me, I think you will be very well positioned to pursue the law. So go for it.
Excellent. Daynor, is there anything you want to bring back from the breakouts for us?
I will. First of all, Caroline, I actually quoted you in the breakout room because I totally agree that you should take what interests you and that there's no magic path. And then also, Professor Hans, I kept getting the question. I got in 2 panels. What made you pivot from psychology to law, or how did you make that pivot? And just piggybacking off what you said, just being open sometimes. And this isn't really a direct answer to that question, but in my career, I've done many different areas of law that we didn't even get into. Now I'm in banking, but at one point I was in Connecticut working with hedge funds. I was doing bankruptcy work for a while. Many opportunities came to me because someone said, "Hey, can someone help out with this?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll help. I'll learn it. I don't know it yet, but I'm willing to jump in and help." And right now I'm doing stuff with our corporate bank boards because someone left the company and we had an opening. And I said, "Well, I'll pinch hit until we hire someone." And now it's becoming another area of expertise for me. So just being nimble and flexible and open to all different types of opportunities, I think will take you very far. And you don't have to have it all figured out by any means, really at any time in life, but especially now. I thought I wanted to be a doctor when I was at Cranbrook, and look at me now. So you never know. Just be open.
Thank you so much. Georgia, what can you bring us back from the breakouts?
Sure. I mean, I guess to wrap it up a bit, I'm going to give my little pitch for law school because I really like law school. And so I guess I would say my first class of law school, my first professor, first thing that he said in the lecture was, law is the study of power. And so it's an incredible field to learn, how society works and to help people and to be, even as a young age in my profession, my professional career, to be in the room with CEOs, CFOs, boards, and learning where these people come from, how are they chosen, how do they make decisions, and being even at the table or on the phone or in the Zoom call where some of these decisions are being made. And you do that across the profession, whether you're a corporate lawyer like I am, or you're a litigator, or you're a professor, literally shaping how lawyers think about the world and how new lawyers will be trained in the world. It's just an incredible profession. I find it very intellectually stimulating. There's always new things happening, although it is conservative with a capital C. There was always a tension in the profession against that too. So I'm a big fan of law school. I really like law school. So if you're interested at all, definitely, I'm glad you came here. I hope you left more interested in the law, hopefully not less interested in the law. But that's kind of one thing I just wanted to bring back to the group.
I love it. All right. So because, a few of you didn't get an opportunity to do a breakout, we're going to split into 4 more breakout rooms. We understand if some of you have to take your leave now, but we want to give one more opportunity. Madison's going to create 4 breakout rooms. If you've she's just going to do it randomly because she's not sure who didn't get to be with who. So just come back to the main room. If you get assigned and you're with somebody that you've already been with, then just come back to the main room and we'll put you into the breakout of.
I think I got it actually. I had saved the breakout rooms from before, so I think everyone can be together.
All right,
I'm gonna make it for 6 minutes, just so everybody has a little bit more time. And if you have to leave, go ahead and leave. If you want to come back,
if anybody has to go and bye, Russ.
Okay. Sending you all along now.
All right, welcome back. Thank you all so much. I hope that you'll forgive us for any technical difficulties that we had. We learn something new every time we do one of these. I want to thank our amazing panelists tonight. I so appreciate your making yourselves available and giving back to the schools in this way. To me, it's the ultimate. Connecting with our current students is the best thing you can do to help us, continue to raise the visibility of the Alumni Relations Department and what it can do. I hope that students who want to see more of this will touch base with us, alumni@cranbrook.edu. I want to thank you, Dora and Rebecca. You guys did a fabulous job helping us pull this off. We're so proud of the work that you've done for this. And special thanks to our faculty who came along for the fun tonight. That really makes the night for us. So Thank you all so much. And thank you so much to our Alumni Association members. We've still got LaTanya on and we've got Steve. Thank you so much for your support. And we look forward to continuing this partnership and student mentorship with all of you. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.